What separates us?
A wall.
A crack.
A trench.
A rift.
People on opposite sides of a cannon.
Yelling.
A kingdom. A house divided.
By politics.
A pandemic.
Physical space.
Emotional distance.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
How did we get here?
What keeps us apart?
When I was in second grade, I had an extremely bossy friend, but I was an extremely stubborn person.
When we got into fights, they seemed never-ending because neither of us would ever admit defeat when one of us was clearly wrong.
I remember one fight in particular started because I hated showering, but she liked taking showers. I told her, showers are bad for the environment because they use more water. But honestly, I just really like taking baths more. And this one dumb comment my 8-year-old self made turned into months and months of pointless arguments.
Listen, I took a shower and plugged a drain to see how much water it used, and it was definitely less than a bath.
Not true! I refused to accept that I was wrong and continued spewing false information. Baths are better for your skin and cleaner.
You're wrong.
Am not.
Are too.
I was never satisfied. Our childish arguments seemed to drag on and on forever. For years we got into these arguments. But by 6th grade, our naive arguments seemed to achieve nothing. Why? Why did we keep fighting? We went to different middle schools, and I guess that break from each other seemed to help.
And then we moved on to high school. We agreed that fighting over showers and baths was futile, and they were topics of greater importance that needed to be discussed.
How does stubbornness impact our ability to see another person's perspective or come to a resolution?
When is stubbornness a good thing? Being stubborn can mean standing up for something important.
I have always been a very non-confrontational person. I'm always willing to listen to what people have to say, but when it comes to something I truly believe is right, I will not back down. My grandmother, in one word, is stubborn, and it's hard to get her to understand where other people are coming from. One day I was sitting with her, and she said that she didn't understand the point of Black Lives Matter, and that Black people weren't treated that badly. It made me very frustrated that she doesn't see so many of the problems with our country.
What do you do when you disagree with someone who is important to you about something that's also important?
What motivates you to have a difficult conversation?
What does it take to change someone's mind?
What does it take to bring people together?
On the scene in Florida where another community is in disbelief, shocked by devastating violence, this time at that Florida high school on Valentine's Day.
On February 14th, 2018, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School was attacked by a gunman.
The 19-year-old gunman killed 14 students and 3 staff members that Valentine's Day.
17 others were wounded.
It became the deadliest high school shooting in America.
My aunt and cousin came into town from Colorado for the March for Our Lives in DC. We don't have similar political views, but we went to the march together. It was an amazing experience. I remember all the people there, thousands, and the students who spoke. It was crazy to me how together we felt.
I remember the signs.
I can't learn algebra when I'm scared for my life.
18th century laws, 21st century guns.
And some had words that I'm not allowed to say in school.
I learned so much, and it was a great moment of coming together despite our differing political opinions.
Sometimes people come together to raise their voices. Other times, communities come together to heal.
When I was in 3rd grade, a hurricane hit my hometown, a small island off the coast of New Jersey. Luckily, many houses on the island, including my own, faced no serious damage because of the storm, but there were even more families who were ruined because of it. I remember overhearing that my teacher's family was living in a tent in the woods in the cold of mid-November because their house had been destroyed. It was shocking and heartbreaking as a 3rd grader to see my friends and neighbors struggling so much. Then, when Thanksgiving came around, many people didn't have a house to gather in or a dinner to cook, and the community center put together a Thanksgiving meal for them. While my family and many others could have had our normal Thanksgiving, we attended the meal at the community center instead, and I was surprised to see that almost the entire island, affected or unaffected by the storm, was there. I still think about how touching it was that at a time when people could have been divided, the island came together and assumed each other's hardships as their own.
I think a lot about people working together during this time. You know, COVID in 2020, especially with everyone being home right now, and anxiety and depression rates skyrocketing. I wonder how everything will work out in the end.
Thursday, March 12th, 2020 was the last day any of us set foot in school. Everyone thought it would only be a 2-week lockdown, but weeks turned into months.
Every day began to blur together. Every day was filled with uncertainty. No one really knew anything about this virus, yet it was taking over our lives.
Wake up. Brush my teeth. Maybe eat something if I'm not too tired. Open my laptop to begin its strenuous 7 hours and get back in bed. Wake up. Brush my teeth, eat something if I'm not too tired, back in bed. Open my laptop to begin a strenuous 7 hours. Wake up. Brush my teeth, wake up. Open my laptop, go to sleep. Brush my teeth, eat. Wake up. Go to bed, eat, brush my teeth. Wake up.
Hey, more than 2 hours of screen time is bad for you.
What happened to that rule?
You should go out. Enjoy the sun. Maybe walk to the park, make some friends.
Or that one.
Always share with other people. Never take too much of anything, okay?
Or even that one.
Divided. Separated from what once united us and kept us safe.
Our mundane life had been altered completely and unexpectedly. We had to learn a new kind of normal that no one could prepare us for.
The first few weeks were really scary. We began hearing horror stories of hospitals filled at maximum capacity and some of the wealthiest countries not being able to treat those who were sick. Our fear of death divided us. Shows were canceled and jobs were lost. Our lives had come to an abrupt halt that no one saw coming.
Yet one of the most incredible things about 2020 was the heroism of healthcare workers. Their dedication and love saved so many lives.
My parents tried to hide it, but no matter how hard they tried, the stress on their faces was always clear. With my parents both being frontline workers in the medical field, they, like many others, were forced to face this uncertain and deadly virus head-on without actually knowing if they were safe. My mom's hospital refused to provide masks to their workers for a while because they just didn't have enough. My parents forced themselves to distance from my siblings and I. They're biggest fear becoming getting one of us sick. But as time went on, I noticed the growing encouragement from neighbors, friends, and family. People came together and made signs thanking my parents, and that encouragement alone helped them come to terms with this crazy situation and bring us to a new normal. And while things aren't quite the same as what they used to be, this coming together has helped make my parents and many other frontline workers stronger than before.
More than anything, this pandemic has shown us that we are stronger when we support each other and show empathy to all of our neighbors.
Despite having gone through nearly a year of online school, we were able to come together, continue learning, and find new ways to connect.
During the hardest parts of lockdown, every Friday at 8 p.m., my extended family would try to crack a riddle that my uncle sent out. Sometimes we also do video calls where I see cousins from Alaska that I didn't even really know before.
I've been given more time to catch up and connect with friends and family. I've been able to set up Zoom calls with loved ones who live in different countries and in different time zones.
We are capable of working together to overcome division. We are smart enough to find new ways to connect. We are strong enough to make a difference.
There will always be hardships and events that will shake our relationships and trust. But if we look past our pride,
our walls,
our cracks,
our trenches,
our rifts,
we can truly overcome anything and everything that might separate us.
Division, the act or process of dividing.
a partition and separation,
a rift, a breakup or breakdown,
fracture, a fissure, a gap.
What gets between us?
What pulls us apart? Maybe a difference of opinion?
A conflict or dispute.
Age or status.
But what keeps us apart?
Boundaries or walls.
Distance or time.
The people around us.
Maybe it's ourselves.
We met on February 15th, 2020.
We went on our first date, February 21st, 2020.
Lockdown began 20 days later.
As the world grew farther apart, we grew closer together.
The pandemic forced us to stay 6 feet away from each other.
But we never felt the distance.
We sacrificed seeing anyone else in order to spend time together.
But there was a deadline approaching.
August 23rd.
I helped pack the car. We said goodbye.
Not fully understanding what goodbye meant.
We went from talking every couple of hours
to a few times a day
to simply texting good morning.
To eventually just abbreviating it to
GM.
How can we hold on to the people we care about when we are separated?
What role does communication play in relationships over long distances or periods of time?
I moved a lot throughout my life, always for my dad's work, and each time we moved, I lost something or left something behind. I lost mementos, I lost relationships, childhood friends that I can remember but won't ever see again. Sometimes I blame myself for not maintaining those relationships.
How do we maintain meaningful connections when we are distanced from each other?
What keeps relationships alive?
Sometimes time and distance doesn't make a difference. I saw a friend for the first time in months, and we picked up right where we left off.
Why do we stay close to some people while other relationships fade away?
Sometimes, no matter what you do or how hard you try, there are certain things that are just out of your control.
Especially now.
I've always liked going to school, but what was supposed to be a few weeks online turned into a few months, and those few months turned into a school year. And now, online school just feels like a burden, and it's getting in the way of my learning. I've read more books, more news articles, and worked hard on all the things I love. But the online slideshows and digital science labs feel like a blue light eye strain on my education. I want to feel free to learn, but instead I just feel stuck. One day I tried something different. I woke up a few minutes early, I got dressed, semi-brushed my hair, fully brushed my teeth. I made my bed, put my makeup on, and cooked my breakfast all before the first virtual bell rang. It was liberating. I thought by changing little things in my day, I would change the big things in the long run. But when I sat down at my small desk, when my knees bumped the table as soon as I leaned forward to type, I realized that tomorrow would be exactly the same. I would just have to get up and start all over again.
How does going to school during a quarantine impact a student's feeling of autonomy, control, powerlessness?
What's the impact of feeling powerless?
What happens when our divisions define us?
I am a student.
I am a high school student.
I am a high school student in America who, before the pandemic, was taught monthly how to escape a gunshot.
I'm a high school student in America who has to be careful when speaking because I'm afraid of what others will think of my beliefs.
I feel as though I have been betrayed. Why?
I try to look at the good parts. I have friends, a stable family, an income, food in my mouth, and a roof over my head. But every day the news overtakes my mind and my feelings.
How does isolation and division impact our relationship with our country?
How do we move forward?
I try my best, but sometimes that's not enough.
I wonder what the next 2 weeks and the next 4 years will look like for our country.
I worry that people continue to split apart.
I hope that tomorrow is better than today.
I dream of a better time and a better place, but dreams can only go so far without proper change.
I dream of not living through a historical event every 5 days.
I hope that we're not living through the end of our country as we know it.
Division can create distance that feels uncrossable.